Go to the cave in the Himalayas and live by yourself, trigger free. I coach parents. Most of the time, I'm dealing with a parent who's aching for a closer relationship to their kids, or aching because they feel like they're not empowered enough to know how to deal with situations the way that they would like to so that they get the outcomes they want to. You can have 100% of a really tiny pie, or you can recognize that I may end up having a smaller part of something huge that is so much bigger than my one little piece. And so it's that idea of, really, I wonder if we could create something different in collaboration.
All right, welcome to another show. This is so exciting. This is Living Boldly with Purpose, and I have Catherine Celery. Is that how you say?
Say it, celery. Absolutely, just
celery?
like the vegetable. I know.
Love it.
It's so fun,
yeah.
right?
So I have Catherine on today, and Catherine and I, for the last, 5-10 minutes here, we've been trying to get the technology to work because sometimes it just doesn't cooperate. Then I got to try to record the show, and there's no room and microphones now. It's just been, I told her I'm so excited because when the enemy doesn't want you to have this show, that means it's going to be a show that's going to impact folks. So just so excited about being able to do it. We're talking about living boldly purpose. I try to help people become the person that God put them on this planet to be. And you're one of those people who does the same. I know that you do all the things that you get to do, the keynote. Nobody does the keynotes just so they can hear themselves talk. They're hopefully doing it so that they can help the people who are in the audience. I guess there might be a few people on the planet that go do them just so they can make some money if they do it. But I think most of us, when we're living boldly with purpose, and you maybe can answer this as we talk, but I don't know if you can be in purpose and not serve others. I don't know how that works. I guess somebody could say, this is my purpose in life, and it is to be in the forest somewhere all by myself and, helping animals or trees.
Such a good point. I haven't really thought about this point, but what comes to mind when you say that is one of these things that I remember hearing. I think it was Ram Dass who said, so you think you're enlightened? Go home for the weekend. So it's so much harder to live, our highest ideals when we're in the world. And so going off to that forest and being alone with the animals, it's like, well, sure. I mean, go to the cave in the Himalayas and live by yourself, trigger free. And then tell me when you re-enter the world, how you doing? Yeah. So it really comes from being in the world and finding our way to really just move past reaction.
Yeah.
Right.
So true.
All that reactivity stuff, man. I mean, I think we all fall into it. Doesn't matter how long we've been coaches or whatever.
Of course. Yeah.
We get to just be as human as the next guy and find ourselves in knee-jerk reactivity. And oh my goodness.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And one of the key things I think I just heard you say there is they come back and re-enter the world. And there's very few people that I know that don't, because I think God created us for relationship. He created us to be in community with folks. And so, there might be a few people that just got disgusted, but you can't tell me they're not longing for that relationship and that connection. And, even if it's 4 or 5 years, they want that connection because that is just how our DNA works. It's just, it is how we are.
I hear you. I agree completely. And, I've spent a lot of time overseas. I lived in Hong Kong for 35 years and we spent a lot of our life in Asia and India and, all of the Far East countries. And the rest of the world too. But in any event, a lot of my time has been spent in somebody else's country. And it's just been interesting because I coach and, specifically I coach parents. Mm-hmm. Most of the time I'm dealing with a parent who's, aching for a closer relationship to their kids, or aching because they feel like they're not empowered enough to know how to deal with situations the way that they would like to so that they get the outcomes they want to. And people always talk to me about, well, do you think it has to do with, like the Chinese, the Japanese, the Koreans? Most of the people that I deal with are the Asian communities. And I'm just like, no, I don't. I think that the overarching sort of do as you're told mentality that most of us grew up with is all over the planet. We all had the same, that's kind of what we all grew up with. I don't care where you grew up. I don't care what your nationality is. Y'all grew up in the same way. And so it's really just not even, it's beyond any borders, right? It's
That's
beyond any borders.
Yeah, that's good to know that we're not alone, and we're not, I guess we're not as elite as we think we are, even if the elite status means that we're telling our folks.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means, because everybody thinks they're elite. So, it's back to the beginning of, gosh, I don't know. When we begin to, a friend of mine sent me the young girl who gave the valedictorian speech at Harvard's graduation this year.
Okay.
And she's from China. Mm-hmm. And she said, I was in Mongolia. And I got a text message from some of my friends that I went to school with who were in Tanzania or something. And the washing machine was from China and they couldn't understand the instructions. And so they're texting her from Tanzania. One's from Korea. The point is everybody was from somewhere and they were all interconnected, which I guess back to what you were saying in the beginning is that it is just like, we're turning out to be just one world community. And if we see each other as, one world community, it does kind of change my approach to everything.
Yeah. Well, and I'm so glad we do that, because I think we spend some time, or the past, if I think about our history and I think about other histories of other countries. And if we concentrate on lack, we believe that if I give you something, then it takes away from me and I can't have it anymore. So I have to hoard myself to be able to do it. And one of the things that I'm finding with a bigger economy or a bigger worldview is there's abundance everywhere. Mm-hmm. And just because I give you something doesn't mean it has to take away from me. It means we both get it, and then we can go both do something else incredible as we try to move forward. And so I love the fact that you spent that time, in China, and you were able to see, wait a minute, if I go and I give myself to the Chinese folks or the folks that I'm there or serving, that doesn't mean I have less. It means I actually get more. I get more culture. I get more friends. I get more relationships. I get all these incredible insights from that experience. Not that, and I think, as I think about where our country right now and the division that we have, and I think so much of it is based on this lack mentality that, if you have this, then somehow, if we allow you to get jobs, then somehow we don't have jobs. As if there isn't enough jobs for everybody. But the way economy works, if you create jobs, there's enough for everybody to work. But it's just this stops us.
It's so true. These perspectives, and where I think about this is that you can have 100% of a really tiny pie. Mm-hmm. And you can have it all to yourself, or you can recognize that, if I'm working in collaboration with some other folks and no matter where they might be, we may have my part of what I own now is 100% of something quite small. I may end up having a smaller part of something huge that is so much bigger than my one little piece. Yeah. And so it's that idea of, really, I wonder if we could create something different in collaboration than we can create. I have a cow and you're not going to, or you've got a cow. I don't have one. I'm going to kill your cow. Whatever that mentality is just exactly. Well, how about this? Yeah. You and I have a big pasture. And if you want to let your cow graze on my pasture, then, could you give me the milk from the cow? And now all of a sudden I'm leveraging my assets and working collaboratively to see how we could fit together and make something different.
Oh, that's so true. And what, it reminded me because I have a friend named Myron Golden who talks about, God didn't give us a bakery, he gave us a garden. And he said that a bakery is, every time you take a piece out of the pie gets smaller. The amount that's left is a little bit smaller in a piece of pie. But in a garden, when you think about fruit, a fruit has the seeds within itself. So that when you eat the fruit and you uncover the fruit that you were able to eat, then it uncovers the seeds. And then you plant the seeds in the ground, and now you may have 10, 20 trees as a result of the seeds from the garden that you ate. And so it's just so neat to start thinking about abundance in that way. The seeds are within itself, and we don't know, only God knows how many apples are in a seed. We just know, we can count how many apples are on a tree, but we can't count how many apples are in a seed.
It's just so true. It's our perspective, isn't it, all the time? I think about some of the great, call them the whoopsies, in corporate culture where they didn't see what they had, right? And so I think about Bill Gates, who developed the technology. I think it was for IBM. I could be mistaken, but in any event, they didn't know what they had.
It's crazy. Yeah,
and so they didn't have the vision because they were so stuck on this one thing.
Yeah.
And so this visionary who could see the application was able to basically say, well, if you don't want it, can I have this? And they were like, sure, go ahead, whatever. Same thing with the camera and Kodak, right? When they created the digital camera.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they didn't know what they had because they sold film. And they were so stuck on that one thing that they couldn't see, oh my God, we created a whole nother industry. We gave it away. Yeah, just over and over, our mind really gets in the way. Our mind really gets in the way.
Yeah. You think of the guy who just bought as many blockbuster videos that he possibly could, not knowing that VHS and DVDs were going to be
nobody uses them. Yeah, exactly. I know, Netflix, right?
That makes sense. Who would just get their movies online? Netflix, that doesn't make sense. We need to have more stories.
I know. I mean, there are so many things that are just on the other side. And if you
Hello, this is Dr. B, and I want to ask you one simple question. What if you died having never become you? Now, I don't mean the version of you that worked the job, raised the kids, or chased security. I mean the person God actually designed you to be, the real you. Because there's a version of your life that's already been written, and it's full of peace, it's full of boldness, it's full of purpose, and of course it's full of power. But most people, many people, they miss it. They live distracted, doubting, disconnected, and deep down they wonder, is this really all there is? But not you and not today. That's why we created the Becoming the Person universe. It's a living, breathing community of people saying, I want to be who God called me to be. Not someday, but right now. So inside, we'll walk you through 3 levels of transformation. Level 1 is all about identity, where you finally see yourself clearly and know exactly who you are and who you need to become. Level 2 is about mastery, where we develop the disciplines to grow. And then finally, level 3 is legacy, where your life begins to matter beyond you. And hear me. I want you to hear me clear here. This is not a place to passively belong. This is a place to grow, lead, and thrive. We even have ways for you to share in the revenue as we grow, because we believe in building legacy together. And I want you to know the founders and I are praying for you. We have been praying for you. You have been on our hearts. Yes, you have been on our hearts. You're not watching this by accident. And I want to personally invite you to the next info meeting where we will go over all this community has to offer. All you have to do is just click the link before, you know what to do. But now it's your turn. I want to ask you to ask yourself, what if this is the moment everything changes? What if this is the reason you've been searching? What if all God has been waiting for is for you to say yes? There's a seat for you here, whether you're rediscovering yourself or finally ready to leave a legacy and are ready to contribute. Either way, this is the Becoming the Person universe. And once you're in, your life will never be the same. So I can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to spend time with you. I can't wait to see you on the other side. So let's go live in that purpose and let's do it together.
My dad was a visionary.
Okay.
And he was ahead of his time.
Oh,
so a lot of those, like what he could see, it was just ahead of its time. And sometimes for entrepreneurs, the whole thing is the staying power, the financing power. I remember he invested in so many businesses, and one of them that he told me about was he had purchased an oil well. Mm-hmm. And a bunch of guys put together some funds to, get that drill in the ground, and that it was dry. And he said, so, I took my losses, sold it for, a pittance, and moved on. Well, the next guy thought, well, I wonder if they, drilled to the right level. And that's when they started to realize that veins are, at different heights and levels and all the rest of it. Well, to this day, as far as I know, that well's still pumping oil. So yeah, sometimes we cut bait too soon. So.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Man.
You think of our, all of our folks all the people have a great idea that tell me, oh, that was my idea. That I had that idea before somebody else decided to do it.
And I do think there's something about this collective consciousness.
Oh, absolutely.
That you get this idea, and you may not be the only one. Mm-hmm. Right. And so around the universe, right, other people are also popping with this same idea. So really, who does the idea belong to? Maybe it really is that the idea belongs to the universe, but who's going to make money off of it, or who's going to bring it into the market?
Lifestyle? Yeah.
Who's going to put some kind of stamp or brand around it?
Yeah.
That's another thing, That's another thing.
I've been, even with myself, I've been kind of going through, I've been doing podcasts, and I think I have, all the podcasts that I've done, I'm close to like 400 episodes. And when I start thinking about, is podcasting over? Did I miss the wave of podcasting to be able to take advantage of making all the money that, because I'm doing a podcast and coaching, and I'm teaching people, and I'm finding people, but then I get on somebody else's podcast and coaching call this last week, and he's got 3,000 people that come to the free version of it, another, 200. I'm like, did I miss it? Because I didn't start when he started. And then I go back to apples in a seed. How many different apple trees are there, or different types of apples, different types of things that I can do? And nobody's ever said we have too many apples in the world. Yeah. And so we don't. We don't have too many nectarines. We don't have too many. But yet we think that in our mind, if somebody else did this, like you do keynote speaking, and you say, okay, well, I guess there's too many keynote speakers out there. There's no room and no space for me. And as soon as you start thinking that, then there isn't any space for you, because you start thinking, oh, well, everybody already got the opportunity. Everybody's already, taken all the spots. But
it's so easy for us to go into that negative spin. I think that I haven't looked at the statistics recently, but I think that it's something like, I don't know, maybe as high as 80% of our thoughts are negative.
Isn't that high?
And 100% of them are untrue. So it's like we really do have to be bigger than our minds. We have to be bigger than just all the thoughts that run through them. And God forbid we ever start believing what we think, because then you start to believe those negative, untrue thoughts that there's not enough room for me, and this, that, and the other thing. And it's I remember somebody saying, if you have nothing good to say, sit by me, because negativity is so popular.
Oh, get some gems. I love that. Oh.
So, but that's a lot of what we're constantly facing is, that part of us and others that, just want to focus on the negative and, what do they say? If you have a bad experience, you share it with 100 people. And if you have a good one, maybe 10. So, it's that whole thing of just recognizing this is part of the human condition. And fortunately, our awareness of it allows us to be more capable of calling out when we're in the pattern. and recognizing it's not even true, but I do have, a pattern around me. Everyone does. It runs through my blood just like yours. And so I can fall prey to it, and indulge it, or I can, recognize that I have the power to create whatever I want.
Wow. I love it.
And that's the empowerment side. I have a good story I want to share with you and your audience, which is, I am a coach. I've been coaching parents for 20 something years. And before, when we originally moved to Asia, I was a commodities trader and I traded non-ferrous.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And I speak Chinese. I'd studied in university. And so I was working with a lot of the smelters in China and, whatnot. And my market was China and somebody else. And this is a deal I did with Russia, where we had purchased, it was actually my first deal with a company I just started. And I bought 3,000 tons of aluminum ingot from the Russians to ship to Shanghai, and opened the letter of credit, waited the 60 days or something for the shipment. And then there was no information. So I thought, what's going on? And, started to check in, no information. So I thought, all right, maybe I'll just fly to Moscow. So I go to Moscow, and long story short is the guys that I bought from were actually engineers, and they were getting paid in aluminum ingot from having done engineering work at Krasnoyarsk, the largest aluminum producer in the world. Anyway, they didn't get the aluminum. They're not traders. They don't know how to cover their position if somebody doesn't ship. They didn't ship. I didn't have my aluminum. But I wasn't going to leave Russia without my aluminum. And so every day I hired a translator. I got the Yellow Pages version of Russia. We went door to door in search of aluminum. I'm not leaving without my aluminum. Days go by, weeks go by. I'm not leaving without my goddamn aluminum. You know what I mean? And eventually one day, I kid you not, I walked into somebody's office who had 3,000 tons of aluminum ingot on his ship arriving in Shanghai next week. And it was like a needle in a haystack. And all I had was the absolute commitment that I will not leave without it. I had no plan other than translator Yellow Pages, door to door, not leaving without it. And that, I think, is so powerful, because that's when we really recognize that kind of focus and determination, the universe co-creates with us.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. The fact that, and then that commitment, and then that sets the stage for everything
it's
you
intention.
else do in
That's
life,
it.
Right?
It's all about intention. And I was in a transformational leadership training for years and years. And one of the big things I remember at the time when I began working with them was they had an exercise where they would go around the room and say to people, what do you think creates results? Is it the plan? Is it the team? Is it this? Is it that? How much of it is intention? And people would kind of create like a broad-based sort of like, well, this is 10% and this is 40, 50, whatever. And I can remember I was the only person initially in the training who was like, there's only one thing you need. You just need the intention, and it has to be unwavering. And your commitment behind that intention is unwavering. Everything else falls into place. That's all we need.
That's all we need is that intention. Wow. Well, as I told you guys, this was going to be a gem of a podcast. I haven't even answered any of the questions yet, and we are already talking about just some incredible stuff. I mean, I learned, 80% of the thoughts that we have are probably negative, and 100% of them are 100% wrong. I mean, it's just wrong. Oh my gosh. If you have something negative to say, if you don't have anything negative to say, come sit by me.
Well, if we thought exactly.
Love it. What I want you to do, I want to just kind of go back a little bit, because one of the things I love to do is have our guests talk about their story and what it is that allowed them to become the person that they are right now today. And so, I let my guests kind of start wherever they want into the pendulum of stuff. I have a feeling that her story of her getting aluminum in Russia, just because she said something about the yellow pages meant that it was probably pre-internet. And so there's she's 29
That's
years old,
true.
but somehow she was pre-internet. I don't know how that happened, but
You're
she was
so
4
right. It
years
didn't
old.
even occur to me. Like a lot of people are like, what's the yellow pages? Yeah.
So, but just the fact that she has all this experience, like what you guys would do today in order to get aluminum in Moscow, with the ability to talk to people and reach out to people and email people and electronically cell phones and all that. My friend, that didn't exist when she was doing this.
Didn't.
When she said she went door to door, she went door to door.
Door to door. Door to door. Absolutely. No, you're right. I mean, to make a telephone call, I needed to go to the Post and Telecommunications office in Moscow. There was no cell phone. This was glasnost, right? It was 1992. So it was the falling apart of the Soviet Union. I was right there, right at that moment in time. And it was extraordinary. It was extraordinary to see one government. Sergei Kudyshev was the translator I hired, who had a PhD in mathematics from Moscow University, like brilliant man. And he and I just kind of went together door to door, and it was with his support and his translating that I was able to get my boatload of aluminum. But
oh my gosh, all the things that happened back then, and I remember going so interesting. I was a track athlete in the mid '80s, and so I went to. We had a couple track meets that were in East Germany. And we had to go, literally, we were on a train, the train stopped. You saw all these people with machine guns and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
We have to go through into East Germany, and then we come back.
What year was that?
That was that's probably 85. It was still, so it was pretty close to the fall, because I went back a few years later. There is no wall. There is no East Germany. It is just, walk
Did that wall come down in 89? I think it did.
I think it was 89, yeah. So
it was just a few years later. But I mean, you got to see history change.
Yes.
You got to be there before the change, after the change. And the same thing for Russia, where, it was glasnost. There was this movement away from the government, but as Sergei Kudyshev said, they threw the baby out with the bathwater. Mm-hmm. So there was, unlike China. So in China, that huge transformation was occurring from a centralized government, where it's still a central government, but really there's a lot of entrepreneurs in China. There's a lot of independent business. There's a lot of, creative folks who are doing all kinds of different types of corporate structures. However, that's new, but it all happened under, they used to say, what was it? Socialism with capitalistic, strains or something. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like they just worked within this one thing.
Yeah.
And it did hold, because you got 1 billion people, probably more now. And it held it in place while they moved and transformed from within. Russia threw the baby out with the bathwater. And to be honest, the only structure that stepped into the void was the mob. And that's kind of what rules, in my precious opinion. The Soviet Union is now basically run by mobsters.
Of course.
They took over all the industries.
Yeah.
They had the organization, and they had the transportation, and they had the means. And so they just stepped into the void.
Everything that would make it warm enough for people to live. I mean, that was the biggest.
Absolutely.
I think that too. Everything. If you can't
wow, just like that, it seems like just like that. But is it really just like that? Or did it happen over years?
Over years in time.
Or did it happen so quickly? I would say both are true. Yeah, both are true.
Yeah, they had to be in place and be the people that they have grown up to be, and have the ideas and the infrastructure. So when time allowed, they could take advantage of it. And then it was just a roller coaster of, hey, we're doing this, and this because we have an infrastructure while our government is falling apart.
Well, and here's the thing, because it was, I mean, I think it's interesting where our conversation's going today, but I'm all in for the ride. I know, I'm just like, I'm here. I mean, so anyway, everything was artificially inexpensive. because it was a central government. So for example, like gasoline was maybe 4 cents or something like that. Right. And aluminum ingot, which I was selling through the London Metal Exchange, where all of the primary metals are priced. I think at the time, I don't know, I'm going to make this up. Let's call it $1,900 per metric ton. And they were domestically, the price was somewhere like, I don't know, $50 or $60. So in the internal market, you're talking about prices that are so ridiculously below the world market.
Hey, it's Dr. B, and let me ask you something just here real quick. Are you tired of doing the same thing over and over and not getting the results you want? Are you serious about making some changes this year that will impact you in a huge way? Maybe you're putting out content right now and it's not turning into customers, or maybe you're uploading videos, but you're not sure why or how it's even gonna help. You know, I've seen a lot of people that are making a whole bunch of cold calls to the wrong people, and no one's answering. No one wants to talk to you. It might just be that you're just doing what you've been doing and crossing your fingers hoping it finally works this year. But let me tell you what, that is not a strategy, and it will continue not to work. That's why I created the Podcasting Challenge, and it's coming up fast. In just a few days, I'm going to walk you through the mindset, the tool set, and the skill set you need to create a powerful podcast. That's right, a podcast. You won't believe what a podcast can do. One that builds real value and creates new clients. And if you grab a VIP ticket, you'll get to join me for a daily Zoom Q&A sessions where I'll personally answer your questions and help you tailor everything to your goals. This is your moment. This is your year. Go to thepodcastingchallenge.com right now and save your seat. The link is in the show notes and the description. Thank you for watching these podcasts. Now let's get back to the conversation.
So when you then have an oligarch who takes over the largest aluminum producer in the world and is pricing internally at these levels and selling in the outside world at these levels, we're talking about wealth that's being created that is unimaginable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, just over that, and that's the overnight money. And now when you have that,
boom, now you've got the richest people in the world because they stole the resources of the country and profited individually.
Yeah. And if you're living in that country, now you're buying everything in that country at that reduced price.
Well, I'm not sure where the pricing is anymore. I mean, is it really? I mean, it's hard. Obviously, Americans are not getting back into Russia right now.
No.
So my last trip there was a while ago. But chances are there's still an artificial market internally. And that it is still being controlled externally by a handful of folks. Wow. A lot of them were metals traders.
Really? I had no idea.
The metals control the world. Come on.
All right,
everything, right? Which is why, bringing it to today, I was reading something about some of the rare earth metals were part of the negotiation about the new relationship with the United States and China, which I'm glad to say we're on the right track again.
Okay. So we're back in,
We're back in 2025, and we're looking at, what are our relationships with, other countries, and what are our relationships with ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, all right. So we're going to get to the story. All
right. Let's get to. Here it is.
I think our story is going to end up right back where we're at, because I'm having so much fun right now. Just learning not only about you, but just being able to talk about stuff we usually don't get to talk about. And that's why the podcasting world is so much different. Because when
really
I had a
is fun.
Show, it was this is scripted. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to talk.
Right,
I can have callers come in, and that might be the things that make it a little bit different.
That's where things could go a little haywire.
Yeah, but no, this is the fun part when we get to,
Well, I'll tell you this much. So I spent a lot of time in Asia.
Okay.
And I had gone on semester at sea.
Okay.
And now this is going to show you some of my age. But in any event, it was the fall of 1980. And I was at the beginning of my sophomore year at university. And I was like so drawn to this program called Semester at Sea, where you travel around the world on a ship with a whole bunch of other students and academic sponsors. Like at the time, it was the University of Colorado Boulder, but the professors themselves come from all over the world. Anyway, here we are, a bunch of college kids on our way to China. And the country had been closed. China, in 1949, there was the Communist Revolution. They closed the door to the outside world, and it was closed until just before this boatload of kids shows up that I happen to be one of. And we're there on the precipice again of this major, major sea change in Chinese history. And so I was a poli-sci history major and, anyway. And I was fascinated by all of it. So going with my friends, and we're walking through the streets of Guangzhou, and the Gang of Four was on trial. And Jiang Qing, who was Mao Zedong's wife, who had been the leader of the Gang of Four, she was on trial, and they had these big TVs set up in the streets because nobody had individual televisions. And they were all on their little chairs watching these TVs in the streets as they're watching the most powerful person in their country at the time on trial. And it was fascinating because we were just beginning the era of Deng Xiaoping, which was when he started to open up the door to the rest of the world. And that's when we began our collaboration. So fast forward a few years later, I graduate, I go to work in China. And there's an anti-foreign cultural pollution campaign going on. So the opening of the door was an open, close kind of an experience there. I happened to arrive right after the Tiananmen, 1989 Tiananmen, right? So, that actually was when we moved to China. Go back, 1983. I arrived at the anti-foreigner cultural pollution campaign. And we, as the foreigners, there are only 11 of us in the entire Zhejiang province, are brought into the Foreign Affairs Office to say that, you guys, we don't want, quote unquote, the pollution, your mind, your Western bourgeois way of being that they perceived as moralless, affecting our pure culture. So you stay in your compound, you get out to go teach your classes, but whatever you do, don't mix with the locals because we don't want you affecting our culture. And so that was where it was Kafka was illegal. You couldn't read Kafka. You couldn't even talk about Kafka. So if you're familiar with Kafka in the book called The Trial, he spends the whole book trying to figure out what he's on trial for. What did I do wrong? Yeah. And, I was kind of feeling that way too. I was like, oh my God, I'm this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed young gal who grew up in Colorado. Kumbaya, let's all love each other, and I enter into this country where it's very aggressive. And the bias was that there was something dangerous about this foreign person, this foreign mindset, so much so that we have to control your access to our people and put you over there, in this foreign compound. So that was my experience. It was really, really interesting. I'd never had anything like that happen to me before. I was in a foreign experts compound with a woman who was Ingrid Dienter. If you're out there, Ingrid, how are you? And she was there teaching English and German, German being her first language. And honestly, she was sneaking out at night and reading Kafka. With people, and there were these, dangerous interactions that she was having. Yeah. And that was the great act of rebellion to go out and read Kafka. But I'll tell you what, it really is interesting because why would his thoughts in that book be so dangerous?
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is where we realize, it really is all about what we think about. It is all about how we have things.
Yeah.
And that literature is so powerful that I understand, it shouldn't be happening in this country because we have First Amendment rights for a reason. Yeah. We have the free press for a reason because everybody in this country is bring it on. You got a difference of opinion? Let's talk about it. So why would we need to get rid of a book? Why would we need to be China where we say Kafka can't be read here?
Yeah, no, exactly. Wow.
Well, a couple other things happened, which I want to bring up. And one of them was so interesting.
Where did you go to high school?
Evergreen.
Okay.
Here in Colorado.
I graduated from Cherry Creek in 83.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Because I went to Bellevue Elementary School and Cherry Hills Elementary.
No
and
way.
my mom was on the Cherry Creek School Board.
I went to Walnut Hills Elementary School.
No way. I know Walnut Hills. I did not know that.
You. Oh man, we grew up like by each other. Well,
are you in Colorado now?
Right?
Where are you?
I live in Denver now, so I live by the airport. So,
oh my God, I live in Denver.
Yeah, and I've been coaching at a school called Cherokee Trail High School, Cherokee Trail, which is out southeast. When we were there, that was just prairie and stuff. But yeah, so I still do stuff in Cherry Creek all the time.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? We're not actually that different in age, as it turns out.
No, I 83. You graduated in 79 or 78?
Yes, I graduated in 79. I went to the University of Denver.
Okay, so my freshman year was 79.
And where were you?
Huh?
Where was your freshman year?
At Cherry Creek. So I went to Cherry Creek. I started at Walnut Hills, and then I went to Campus Middle Unit, and then I went for junior high, and then I went to Cherry Creek so 79 was my freshman year at.
And where did you go to college?
I went to Azusa Pacific University in Southern California. So I didn't stay out here, and I stayed out in California.
Oh, you went to LA. Okay.
I went to LA. So I got a track scholarship, and so I went to the West Coast, and then I came back here about 15 years ago.
That is so amazing, because our daughter also went to school. She went to USC. In Los Angeles.
Yep, I know.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. It's so cool that we literally grew up on the same streets.
Oh my God. I went to Bellevue Elementary.
I know where Bellevue. Yeah, I know exactly Bellevue.
Bellevue and Dayton. I grew up on the corner right over there at Bellevue and Dayton. For the love of God, I hope a lot of people are like, I went to school there too.
I was at Rappaport 925 was where I grew up, right there. And so,
oh my God, I know exactly where that is. That's incredible. We're going to get together for coffee.
Yes, we are. Oh my God. I can't wait. No, you said you live here now, right? Or
I do. Yeah, exactly. I'm over off of Havana in Mississippi.
Oh, in Aurora. Okay.
So over in Aurora.
I ran for Aurora City Council like in 2015.
You did? Did you make it? You didn't win? I didn't win, I hope you're going to run again.
I kind of glad after I didn't, because it just was so like this, and they were, they argued all the time, and I think I had more influence in the city by running and then losing than I did if I would have won. And I really didn't care about how long stoplights were red compared to when
I don't care about that too.
They stayed till 2:00 in the morning arguing about.
Whoa.
So let's get back to your story though, but I can't wait for us.
I know. This is so fun that we made that discovery.
In Mississippi. I was just at the Xfinity store right there. It used to be Buckingham Square, but what is it called?
That's right. Now? It's right over there on the corner. I think. What is it called now?
I don't know. It's something.
I don't know, but I know where the Xfinity store is. It's literally a stone's throw over there. Next time you go there, you call me and come over for coffee.
Yes, at the Starbucks right there. Perfect. All right.
One of the things that I was going to say, and it was, again, being in China and beginning to do some comparisons now, we're talking back in the early 80s. So 1983, I was there from 83 to 85. I came back and went to law school at DU. And then I went back to Hong Kong in 1989 as a commodities trader. And then in 94, when I had our son, that's when I began to really focus on conscious parenting, because I realized I was not conscious. I was not a conscious parent at that stage. I was a nice person. I loved my son a lot. I mean, I knew that all of that stuff was good. But when it came down to meeting behaviors and knowing how to guide, I didn't know anything about guidance. I knew about rewards and punishments. I knew about timeouts. I knew about 1, 2, 3 magic. I knew about all of those approaches to managing behavioral disruptions, but none of them felt right. Mm-hmm. And there seemed to be consequences to my own relationship using those, that it just was in search of, I went from in search of aluminum to in search of a modality, and eventually created my own, which is called the Guidance Approach to Parenting, which I wrote in 2008 with a child educational psychologist, Dr. Louise Porter, and a colleague friend who co-taught with me, Claire Snan Jameson, who also I met at Cherry Hills Elementary when I was 10 years old and was living in Hong Kong by chance. And we ended up raising our kids together and realizing that we needed more. We needed more support. We needed more to handle all kinds of behaviors from children that were dealing with their consciousness at that level, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4, 3, 10, 12, whatever was going on for them and their levels of impulsivity, control, or lack thereof, and the tragic expression of their unmet needs at whatever level and whatever needs were not being met and how they were managing the feelings that were arising from those, and even creating context to be able to discuss and support and develop resilience skills in our own kids. And then it just became kind of a movement. And that's how the conscious parenting revolution was really born, was just, again, needing to be able to just have something that felt good in my own skin when I was working with my kids, and then realizing that this might help a lot of other people too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is so cool. My mind is just, of all the cool things that you've done, and I'm still stuck in that you went to Evergreen High School, and I'm thinking of like Jim and Jay Jackson that I kind of grew up with that are in Evergreen, but just I have 8 children. And
oh, wow. Okay.
And 16 grandkids. So
wow, look at you.
About, all the things that you went through and all the things that you do, help me with identity, because when we start thinking about identity and who you are, because I see you as this person who is a commodities trader. You're in Hong Kong, so you're like borderline on this genius person who is got her life going, that is doing all these wonderful things that take, I guess, a lot of brain power and energy. And then you come back and then you have a child and you're trying to simplify all the things that are going on in your head to be this great mom. How does your identity shift, and how do you go, okay, this commodity thing that I'm doing, is super high level engineer. I mean, just high brain function things to do. And now I'm dealing with a 6-month-old or a 1-year-old or a 3-year-old that I'm playing patty cake with and trying to be this incredible mom. Kind of talk to me about your identity in here.
So funny. So one of the joys of living in Asia and having kids is that it's a lot easier to get support too.
Is it? Okay.
So yeah. So we had a nanny, and I had a commodities trading practice, and she would bring Sam, the little one at that time, to the office every day. And so they would come with me. And, when they're that little, they do a lot of sleeping. So I was breastfeeding. I would feed the baby. Then she would put Sam back in his little stroller, and they would go walk around town. They would go Hong Kong's a spectacular city, and it's, about as busy as you can get. It's the densest industrial city in the world. So just think lots of people. It's like a few streets in New York by comparison, right? But nevertheless, and then they'd go wander around, and he'd fall asleep, and then he'd be hungry again, and he'd come back to the office, and then he'd fall asleep again. So there's a lot of that for those very, very little ages. And I continued literally to run the commodities trading business and be a mom. It was really as he got a little bit older that's where, there was more of a pull. And what I loved about my career was that it was my own business, and I could do it from anywhere, and I can do it from anywhere. I mean, as long as I have a phone, and at that stage, it was really mostly a phone. It was about connection and, conversations and buying and selling and whatnot. But what I began to realize is I ended up building a business where there was a factory in northern China, and we actually manufactured a product for a client in Southern California. And that business ran for, maybe 20 years, I think. And it kind of ran itself.
Okay.
And I stepped less away from those aluminum deals and the higher risk deals, because they are very complex and things are often going awry, and they, not that you can't solve it, not that you can't be, single focused about it, but it does take a lot. So I kind of shifted the model a little bit, where it was more around manufacturing and shipping from China. And, in those days, there was very little transparency. So an American who spoke Chinese, who understood the lay of the land in China, was a really good doorway for mostly American companies who wanted to leverage their market and the lower cost base and all the stuff kind of that we're talking about in the news right now. And again, it was a really good partnership. And that's where I think hopefully we're going to, is that, what I can do in someone else's jurisdiction, I don't even think I can do here for that price. Yeah. And so it's better for me to develop my business and manufacturing in other places. But, everybody's so interdependent. Anyway, let's not go off on that wild tour. But then, so there was more time to be able to be, he went to nursery school. He's a very social guy. He loved other kids. And it was really that as you experience more and more of their trials and tribulations and more of the behaviors, I just wanted to be more competent. And it began to take over my life, where I was spending more and more hours in different trainings and truly becoming not just capable of understanding the concepts, but being able to bring them into practice when my mouth opened and how I would address something. And that, of course, you probably know the staircase of learning from unconsciously unskilled to now I'm consciously unskilled to now I'm consciously skilled. And now I'm unconsciously skilled. But to go to unconsciously skilled means it is so deeply embedded in me.
Oh yeah. It
is who I am. Yeah, so when we talk about identity, it's like this idea that I'm having to think about a skill. It's not really who I am. Yeah. But when I stop having to think about the skill because I'm so deeply, the mastery is there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we got to mastery because the determination was, I just want to be the best mom ever. And I want to be able to have that relationship where my kids have the freedom to be who they are, which isn't something I necessarily felt in my own family of origin. Like there were a lot of ideas about who I was going to be.
Well, and then when you think about mastery as a parent, right? The variable that you can't control is the child.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it. I mean, you get what you get, folks, right? That's the bottom line. They come in with their own soul. Yes. And their own purpose and personality. Oh, and we get to, I really think of them as Yoda.
Yeah.
Right. So they're Yoda and I'm Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And they're looking at me like, oh God, is she ever going to get it?
I know. Well, when I think of for me, because I've been, not only I have kids, but I've been coaching for 38 years. So I've been coaching, these kids. And so this last track season, the high school kids that I'm going to see, I coach at the university and that kind of stuff and had some Olympians. And so now I'm back down to the high school level. But at the same time, I'm going, they keep getting younger, but they don't. They're the exact same age as they were 38 years ago. I'm the person getting older, and I'm the one who's having the trouble going, I don't know you. I have no clue. I know your basics and I can coach you, but I thought I used to even know their vocabulary. That keeps changing every 5 or 6 years, but I don't know them anymore. I don't. I'm like, how do I be this great adult influence that helps? And I struggle to relate. And that's that variable that you kind of talk about, that, that unconscious mastery stuff.
Yeah. However, I do think that we have one thing that doesn't change.
Okay.
Right? Which is that human beings are only ever trying to meet their needs.
There you go. Okay. Yes.
So all human behavior is really about trying to meet my needs. And if I'm not meeting my needs, now you're going to see the tragic expression of my unmet needs.
Oh, I love that. Because and my needs continue to grow, right? Because I feel like I deserve.
Well, my needs are my needs, right? Okay. My needs are not my wants.
Oh,
so, gotcha. If we go back to the land of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and then there are some other models which we use as well. But, my underlying needs are food, air, water, and sleep. And if I meet those needs, another level of needs begins to emerge, which are psychological safety and security. And if I meet my needs for psychological safety and security, and I'm continuing to meet my underlying needs for food, air, water, and sleep, then another level of needs begins to emerge, which are those around belonging and autonomy needs. And if those are being met, now my needs for mastery may arise. And if I'm meeting all of those needs, the need for self-actualization is in fact a need. So if we know the model, then we can begin to look at behaviors and we can see them as, oh my gosh, look at that little person. Happy-go-lucky, boop-de-boop, boop-de-boop. All their underlying needs are met. And so the feelings that arise are those great deep feelings of joy and happiness and lightheartedness. And you can see it. Yeah. And if they're not being met, you can see that too. But we tend to focus on making the manifestation of the unmet need. In other words, when people are drowning because they can't meet their needs, we don't focus on, oh my God, this person can't meet their needs. How can I support them so that the where they are behaving and feeling is shifting? Instead, we focus on, if you can't drown politely, I don't want to know you.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, that hits home so much. I ran, it's called Ready to Work. So it's a 50-bed homeless service facility that was off of by the 9 Mile station on Parker and 225. And so I ran that for several districts, and just thinking about all the folks that were experiencing homelessness that were there and their needs are not being met, and we're struggling. But that need has been not met for so long. Now we're dealing with the belief that those needs will never be met. And then their behaviors that they act on based on, I don't think I'm ever going to get this. This is what I have to do in order to meet this need. Exactly. And those behaviors come out in a way, oh my gosh, it's
hard to be around. So the idea that there's hopelessness and helplessness that arises after an extended period of someone failing to be able to meet their needs is not surprising. Yeah. And so that's just one more of the complexities around homelessness and these situations, which, it's not about the good, bad, right, wrong. And that mindset of judging the tragic expressions as if that's the problem instead of a symptom, that's one of the problems, is not seeing it as a symptom. It's a symptom. Of course, we don't like to be around it. And it might even be dangerous to me. And I need to be working with how actually a lot of us, no matter how tragic or on a level of tragedy, scales of tragedy, we go about meeting our needs in ways that are almost guaranteed not to.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, gosh.
Crazy, right? Why are you choosing this way to meet your needs when it's almost guaranteed not to? In fact, it might even result in compounding the unmet needs even more.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, when people's needs and that needs deficit is so strong, that's, I really think when support becomes so crucially important. And that's a mindset thing too. If there's them and me, then, I don't tend to take care. In my mind, if I don't think that I'm connected to that person, or I am dehumanizing them in some way, or I don't see that they belong to me in any way, shape, or form, then I'm not likely to extend myself. But if I see it as, we are all part of one human race. And so, everybody who's in humanity with me, we're connected. So your well-being and my well-being are inextricably linked.
Wow. That is so cool. Well, Catherine, we've almost talked an hour here.
I know.
What I would like to do, I want you to give how to get a hold of you and get your book and all that stuff. So do that here in a second. But if you're willing, I would love for you to come back. And let's just...
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Thank you. I was hoping you'd ask me.
I can't wait because I want to spend that time. I want to do a deep dive into because I think there's people out there that are hearing this right now and going, okay, but we didn't get to we didn't get to the heart. These guys talking, we enjoyed it, but at the same time, how do we dig deep into? So yeah, I want to do that. So thank you for saying you'll come back. We'll get back
Of
on. We'll talk
course.
about
Totally.
all the different levels of how this works and what can really help people be able to move forward, whether they're struggling to be a parent, whether they're, doing great as a parent. They don't feel like they're enough. I mean, that's something that we put on ourselves all the time, is we're not enough. I'm not doing enough. And, my kid isn't doing what I want him to do, so I must not be doing enough. And so I want to talk about all that stuff. But before we do that, just go ahead and tell us how to get your book.
Sure.
Tell us how to get on your website.
Absolutely.
Tell us how to hire you as a keynote.
We're going to do all that.
We got to do here.
Yes, absolutely. And I do really want to come back. I'm very thankful. I was hoping, I was like, inside of myself, I was like, oh, I hope he invites me back. I hope he invites me back. And we're also going to get together in town. Oh my God, this is so fun. This is so fun because we're in the same city. So it's Catherine Celery, Sellery. I have a site, CatherineCelery.com. If you go to that, you can see the Conscious Parenting Revolution or Work-Life Balance, which is more of the corporate trainings I do. Or you can go to the Conscious Parenting Revolution if you're just like hungry for some support. I have a ton of free resources there as well, where you can get some support for things like gaming addiction, or if you're just worried about getting your kids off of your devices. And that is a lot of times, parents are worried about that. And should be, right? It's a big deal. So yes, freeparentingbook.com. Go there. I give my Amazon bestseller away. It's 7 strategies to keep your relationship with your kids from hitting the boiling point. And that's 7 strategies right there. So, if you're struggling and you're like, what do I do? Try one of these. See if that helps. Fundamentally, I would say in my 1 minute soundbite here, that curiosity is your friend. Mm-hmm. So take that breath when you're experiencing a kid that's having a behavior that you're just like, oh my God, what are they thinking? Right? You're like, oh my God, what are they thinking? Curiosity is your friend. And that no to you is a yes to something inside of themselves. Curiosity. What are they saying yes to inside? When they're saying no to you, it's not defiance. It's not any of those words. It's not a judgment that we can attach to it and understand and go any deeper with. But we can get curious. Like, what's going on? Wonder what's going on. Thinking it to yourself, kind of like mulling it over. You might have a pop-up, but connection before correction will always drive the best relationships, where your primary concern is connection rather than correction. Mm-hmm. And then if that's driving it, you're going to have a better relationship, better outcomes. More likely they're going to change their behavior.
Oh my gosh. Well, I can't wait to have this deep dive into this conversation. And exactly, because we'll do the how to, and not, you can go get the book, and I encourage you to go get the book and read the book. In fact, when we come back, if you've already read the book, you'll be better.
Even better.
Yeah, you'll be more prepared to do the things that we do. So go ahead and make sure you jump on. We'll put all those links that she just gave us in the description below, so that you'll have all those to be able to go. If this is your first episode that you've done with us and you've enjoyed it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and notification. You need to hit the notification button anyways, because you're not going to know when we do it again. Go back and listen to a lot of our conversation today. I think that you will enjoy it. You'll have fun, that you will understand that there's a lot that you don't know, because there's a ton that we don't know that we're just trying to learn as we go. But there is a lot when you have an expert that knows what they're doing, that you can glean out of it. And so I thank you for being part of today. I can't wait to see you on the next one. Don't forget that you're God's greatest gift. He loves you if you allow him to, and that we're helping you become the person that you need to be. Becoming the person will allow you to do the things that you want to do in the life. So have a wonderful, incredible day. Can't wait to see you on the next one. We'll talk to you soon.